Welcome back to Bloody Elbow. Today, I am joined by one of the top amateur fighters in Europe right now, Stephen Clancy Simmons. The thing that I want to get to straight off the bat is to be 18 years old and be this far along in your MMA career. I know that it's certainly not uncommon for amateur fighters to be able to rack up a lot of experience
Mhm.
quickly, but to have that much experience at 18 years old is insane. When did you start training?
I started training when I was like 4 years old, man. From when I can remember, to be honest. And I think I started properly training like 6 days a week when I was about 11 or 12, man. And from that age on, it was kind of full speed ahead.
Obviously we'll get to your brother in a little bit. Is it a family thing that got you into it so quickly? I imagine to start at four
Yeah,
years old, that's straight off the bat.
yeah. It was my real dad was a professional boxer, and when I was born he got accepted into the Great Britain squad for going to like the Olympics and Commonwealth. And then like when I was young he was always like down in England and stuff, and my mum was a dance teacher and she ended up putting me into like Thai boxing, and from then on that was me, man.
Was there ever any doubt, like at any point, were you like, maybe I want to go down this path instead, or anything like that? Because people who have seen yourself or your brother fight, it almost seems like, I mean, the background makes a lot of sense. You both just seem like naturally very talented athletes, but obviously fighters as well, which, like I said, makes sense because you've been training for such a long time.
I played every sport under the sun, to be honest. Like I was never really a academical kid. Like I wasn't really good like with books and stuff like that. But when it came to sport, I really excelled. Like I played ice hockey, I played basketball. I competed at judo at quite a high level when I was really young. But I think when I got in to like MMA and like sparring inter clubs and really getting like that full free reign when you're fighting, that there's something so different about the sport, man. And I love it. And people always ask like if you could do one of those sport, like what would you do and stuff, and I'd be like, it's just this sport, man. It's all I think about every day, day in day out. Like I just love it, man.
The benefit, we spoke about your brother briefly. Then he
Mhm.
obviously is also undefeated, but as a pro, and is a few steps ahead of where you'll
Yeah,
be in a few years. How beneficial is it to have that, not only as your brother, going down the same route as you, but with him being a few steps ahead? Is it 7-0 that he is now undefeated
yeah,
as a
7 and
pro?
okay.
So he's a couple years ahead of what you'll be targeting. It's almost like he is laying the perfect, kind of game plan for you to follow behind.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. My brother's 4 years older than me, so like I've always looked up to him growing up, like as a kid and stuff. And he's smashing it. He's definitely creating a path for me because, like you said, I'm a few steps ahead. So I'm a few steps behind. Sorry. So like even when he was amateur and doing what I was doing now, I was there for a oh, sorry, I lost you there. I was there for a lot of it, and I got to follow him, and now that's why I feel so comfortable where I'm at, and I can look up to him, and I know that I'm so close to like getting turning pro and stuff. So it's super cool having him there. It helps a lot, man.
I'm sure you have like just that confidence is built in because you've been training for such a long time. But then to see what he's gone on to do in the pro game and start to get recognition, not just around Europe, but even bigger than that, as like a guy that is tipped for huge things, it must be a huge inspiration for you to be able to see what he's done and be like, well, we've come through this together. So I know
Yeah,
that it works, and he's starting to get the attention now, but you're
yeah,
going to be closely behind him.
yeah. There's a system in place. Do you know what I mean? If it's not broke, don't fix it. And that I'm not copying him because I'm my own person and stuff, but like I'm gonna try and follow him as much as I can, definitely. And it's cool seeing him get that kind of world recognition. And obviously 7-0 as a pro with seven finishes. I think six 5 or 6 of the finishes in Cage Warriors. It's special that you don't get many boys coming through and doing what he's doing. I see a lot of people have like see a lot of posts and stuff like comparing prospects and that, but you can't compare any prospect in the UK to Sean because when you look at his age, the people he's fought, like their combined records and what he's doing to them as well. Like he's fighting people with plus 19 fights, never been finished before, and Sean's going in and finishing them in a round, finishing them in the second round. Do you know what I mean? So he's got a very, very strong system that's been proven, and I want to be doing that for myself. I want to show that that system is bulletproof.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that you've spoken in previous interviews about that transition to pro is coming pretty soon for you, and
Mhm.
in the meantime, you've got a featherweight title fight coming up. The majority of your amateur career has been bantamweight, though, right?
Mhm.
And the decision, I suppose it's just finding new challenges to keep yourself busy as an amateur and gaining that much
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
But talk to me about the decision to compete at now featherweight rather than just
Yeah.
turning pro after all the success you've had at bantamweight.
Yeah, so I started well my first kind of proper fight I had was in Canada. I fought Thai boxing. I had that at 63.5 kilos and that was when I was like 15. Um and then I turned to MMA. My first fight in MMA was actually 63 kilos. So it's kind of been that catch weight. And then I think I turned 18 or 17, just going on 18, and they were like, okay, I could make 61. Like it would be a big weight cut for me. Um, I made that. I think I fought at 61 kind of twice. Everything else has been catch weight. But I think with like my body growing, I'm only 18, so I think I have grew a bit, and I don't think I would ever make 61 again. Or 63.5 at that matter. My last fight at 63.5 was a struggle to get there. We made it because I'm professional, but I really need to 66 is what my body's telling me to do. I can't keep breaking down my body at such a young age. So 66 is where I'm fighting, and I feel good at 66. It's not like I'm training with people who are smaller than me either. Like a lot of the boys I'm getting really good work in are lightweights and featherweights. So I feel comfortable, and I don't feel like I'm gonna be outmatched when it comes to strength or anything like that.
Yeah, one of the guys that I know that you spent a little bit of time training with over in the US was Patchy Mix, one of the best bantamweights on the planet. What was it like training with him? Like, what kind of memories stick out when you think about that time?
He was a super cool guy, man. So yeah, I went to Extreme Couture with my brother. And it was a grappling session in Patchy Mix. He actually knew one of my grappling coaches, Kieran Reid. They trained together at Jackson's. So we were just training, and Patchy Mix was like, "You want to get around, bro?" So I was like, "Yeah, cool." And we ended up getting a grappling round, and from there we just kind of, because I was throwing up some mad submissions like buggy chokes and just going for it, and he was good, man. Like he's an unreal grappling artist, like especially for being an MMA fighter as well. His pure jiu-jitsu is class. Um, so yeah, he ended up taking me under his wing a bit when I was over there. He was always training with me, kind of showing me some new stuff, and we were getting some good rounds in. Man, I got a lot of grappling rounds in with him, and he was a really cool guy. That's what stood out to me. He was dead humble. He wasn't like as if, oh, this is kind of just a young kid. Like I'm patching him, I'm not even going to acknowledge him. Like so, like he was acknowledging me, and like when we got around, he was very, very complimentative, and he was just a sound guy, man. So yeah, it was super cool getting some training in with him.
What did you make of the UFC debut? Because I was super excited to see how Patchy would get on. Like you mentioned
Yeah.
it there in terms of some of the stuff that he goes for in fights. Like I just think
Mm.
there aren't too many people that fight the way that he does, and I was really
Yeah,
excited to see how that got on. And it just really
I
didn't
know.
seem to come together for him at all. I know that
Yeah,
he's booked for October 4th, so hopefully he
which
can
is
can
good. I
get
think,
back and get that first win. But yeah, it was definitely a surprise.
yeah, I think as well he took that fight on short notice. I think there was weight. Obviously, there's no excuses, but I think as well when you come to the UFC, you need to be like you need to be unreal everywhere. I think he knew that he was going to really try and like use his jiu-jitsu, use his wrestling, so he just stayed away from him and struck. So yeah,
What else sticks out from going over to Extreme Couture, like one of the gyms that has been right out there for Gym of the Year in the last few years? I mean, for a long time, but I feel like the last
yeah,
few years in particular, it's really become like a hotbed.
yeah. It was cool, man. The training was very high level. I enjoyed it. The What I like about Vegas is there was a lot of different bodies, in a sense of no one was at there was not a lot. There was obviously a lot of Americans, but there was a lot of like different people. I think because Vegas has obviously got the UFC PI and it's got the Apex, so like everyone's that's kind of became like a fighting capital almost like. So it was cool to get all the different bodies. I think there's a very big pool of MMA fighters out there who are absolute killers and who are trying to like stay ready and like be ready for that call. So I think the training over there, the mat was super high level, man. It was good.
I want to get your thoughts on some big upcoming matchups in both the divisions, I suppose, that you've had experience in, bantamweight and featherweight. Starting with the bantamweight title fight that we've got coming up, Marab versus Corey Sandhagen, a fight that I absolutely cannot wait for. Love watching Corey Sandhagen. I think he
He's
poses
cool.
some really interesting problems for Marab.
Yeah.
How do you see that one going down?
I think Corey Sandhagen's a very violent guy. He's very diverse and like I think he could. He's a technician. I think Marab is an absolute tank though, and I don't that pace over 5 rounds. Like he's just in your face, bouncing. Um, I think Marab takes it to be honest with you, but I think that Corey Sandhagen could give him a good go, but I, f- I don't see anyone really coming close to Marab now in that division.
Do you think Corey is like the most interesting test for Marab? I think
Yeah,
a lot of people would have said Umar, and obviously Umar's still fairly young, so the chance of him getting a second shot at Marab seem pretty likely if Marab keeps hold on to that belt. But Corey, I just don't think there's anyone like him. I know that Marab, you could say exactly the same thing, like no one can match that cardio, but Corey offers so many unique problems. I think.
yeah, that's what I was saying. He's violent. He's violent with his jiu-jitsu game, with like his nasty submissions, and he's violent with his strikes as well, like some of his elbows and knees and stuff. So it's a very good fight, man.
Two big featherweight fights. One of them is already booked. One of them probably will be booked, you'd imagine, in the near future. Two guys that have made huge noise in the last couple of years, Diego Lopez and John Silver. I think maybe the UFC might be waiting to see how that one plays out before they announce Volkanovski's next title fight, which we'll talk about in a sec.
Yeah,
But Diego Lopez versus John Silver should just be carnage from
a
start to
scrap.
finish, right? Yeah.
That's a scrap, man. I'm excited for that. I like both them guys. I really like John Silva. I think he's a cool guy. He's psycho. He's absolutely off his nut, but he's cool. He's got a very cool striking style. So do all the boys at that fighting nerds. They put in a lot of hard work, and it's shown with their skill set. I think John Silva beats him, to be honest with you. Unless I think Diego Lopez can maybe sub him. I could see that playing out, but I think John Silva probably sleeps him, man.
Yeah. The other fight, obviously, that I was alluded to was Lerone Murphy versus Volkanovski. I think unless we get something, a knockout of the year contender in that Lopez and Jean Silva fight, it's going to be Lerone Murphy, who himself just got a knockout of the year
Yeah,
contender, which for a lot of people, I know that people were kind of down on Lerone a little bit after some of the
hmm
performances weren't necessarily the most exciting, but the win like that to knock out Aaron Pico, that completely, disregards all of
yeah,
that. And similar to what I said about Sandhagen and Marab, I'm super excited for this one because I think Lerone poses some problems that Volk might not have faced for a little while.
yeah, definitely. Lerone was very good in that Pico fight. I think Pico came at him with the kitchen sink, threw the kitchen sink at him, and Lerone handled it very well with really good composure. Um, Even like it wasn't composure as in he just waited, and he would throw something evil, like at that big knee. Then he stood up. He had a really nice 2-on-1 with a wrist and stood up, he got back to his feet a few times, and then he knew that he was getting drowned with that pressure, and just, that spinning elbow was perfect, man. I think Aaron Pico, I don't know where his head was at going into that. He maybe had some pressure and he wanted to get him away fast because he was hitting him with some nasty shots. To be fair, I think people do well in the UFC, but Lerone is, I think a title shot's reasonable. Um, he's very good. I think a fight against Volkanovski would be sick, man. It'd be super high level, to be honest. I don't know how I see that playing out either. See these big matchups in the UFC that are, they're so like close. You don't even want to speak about it. I enjoy personally just being neutral and waking up in the morning and watching the fight because it like I love it, man. I love it when big fights get announced 'cause it gets me very excited.
Yeah, the fights where you wake up in the morning and you have literally no idea what you're going to see when you
Yeah,
open social media. Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't be right to speak to you without mentioning Paul Craig, who's fighting next weekend. He's fighting Modestas Bukauskas, a fighter that I've spoken to ahead of time for this one. Really interesting matchup. I think it's quite surprising that we haven't seen these guys fight before now. But how do you think this one's going to go for Paul out in Paris?
I think Paul will do well. I've been watching him and he looks sharp. His game has completely changed. I think he's going to show it. He's an absolute legend and he's a professional. I think with the way that the last two played out, well, not even last two, the last one, because obviously it was supposed to be two, but when we got there, the fight got cancelled. That was in Vegas, but I was actually there. Paul took me out for that fight, which was an unreal experience. That obviously didn't play in his favour, and then to take it again on a few weeks, and then that happened. I think he's really wanting to just get out there and have a proper fight. Do you know what I mean? And he looked good in that last fight against Rodolfo, until the upkick happened, but he was looking sharp, and I'm excited to see how his striking is on Saturday. That's one thing that he's looking good in the gym. He's looking very, very good, and I'm excited for him.
Yeah, when you say about his game completely changing and things like that, like for a long time, and there will be a lot of people who tune into that fight expecting the one version of Paul Craig that a lot of people know, right? The submission skills off his back. But when you talk about the evolution in his game, what exactly do you? I assume you mean in terms of his
Yeah.
confidence in striking, things like that.
Yeah, well, he switched camps, didn't he? He switched to higher level. That's my gym. I've been there since I was a young kid, but Paul moved about, I think about 3 or 4 years ago. But like it takes, you can't just change a UFC fighter's game plan in overnight. Do you know what I mean? That's not
Mm.
going to happen. Especially now, Paul's a lot further on in his career, so it'll take a while to like see. The mad thing is for Paul was that style was working, that aggressive jiu-jitsu from the back, like it was working. So it's now just trying to like teach him these tricks, and he's over time he's night and day. Like he's looking very, very good, especially in his striking. Like I've seen Paul do some class things in the gym. I don't think that the UFC audience have been able to see what I can see, and I know that they're going to see that on Saturday night. He's going to look good.
Well, I look forward to seeing it, man, and I look forward to seeing you back in there for that featherweight title. And then, like you said, pro career starting somewhat soon, so we look forward to that, man.
Yeah, definitely. That's all up to God, and my pro career. That's up to James. Wherever he wants to, my coach. Whenever he wants to turn me pro, I'm ready for it. I love fighting, so I'm always going to do that.
Well, I appreciate your time, man, and I'm sure we'll catch up plenty more times in the future. So,
Yeah,
all the
nice one,
best,
pleasure.
all the best for this upcoming fight, man. I'll catch you later.
Cheers, mate.